Hello there, this is Post-Production Silver, doing an editing for this week's video. Just like to give a quick heads up. We had some mic issues recording. Some of the sound quality isn't the best. Say sorry for that. We are still new and learning. Won't hold you up any longer. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem. I'm Silver, and my co-host here is...
Chaotically.
And we actually have a special guest today as well. Phantom, if you want to say hi. Songbird. Know which one you want to be called.
But hi, I'm Songbird.
Well, today's episode is going to be about Banshees. Anything you know about Banshees, Chaotic?
I know the bare minimum. I know there's differences. A lot of people say that a banshee is literally just the ability to scream at large magnitudes, and some say that it's old crones that do that. There's a lot of different ones that I've heard of, but not any specific coming to my mind stories.
What about you, Songbird? Do you know much about the Banshee?
Well, I know a little bit, kind of like the old, just basic Irish myth. But I also know that in most circumstances, they're harbingers of death. And hearing them or seeing them is usually a bad omen.
So no different than any of the other creatures we have. It's fine.
No, monsters, myths. There we go.
That's correct. They are Irish ghosts, fairies. Technically, in the older Irish, they were considered fairies. And there's many different references to them for what they look like. And they changed through the time going on. The more traditional Banshee is a woman, usually older, with long black hair and pale white skin with it really closely to the bone. Their mouth is usually agape or open all the way, like in a whale. And they have been said to either have blue eyes, really deep blue eyes, or red eyes from sobbing. Some have been seen with red clothes on. They really do. They got a lot of descriptions for them. The older ones are usually the more common, but there is some younger ones that have been seen. And there's a couple references to them as being headless, carrying a bowl of blood. Not really sure how they would be able to wail. Another that's more common than the headless one is the Banshee appears to be in front of you or around you or someone you know in your family, and they're washing your clothes after you die. You see them washing the clothes you're wearing that's covered in blood. Another of the more common ones is that you see the Banshee combing her hair, either with a silver comb, which is the more common, or a gold comb, or a comb made of bones, which the bones are in the shape of teeth.
That just sounds terrifying. I think with the mouthful of blood thing, though, I think I have seen that quite a bit. The blood's dripping down and they're screaming, kind of like Carrie.
Yeah.
It's they're all bloody, but they're screaming. I have seen that.
I just have questions. If you're doing your laundry, though, and it's all bloody, isn't that technically helpful?
Well, it's like an apparition of your clothes that you're currently wearing or someone's currently wearing.
Okay.
It's like they stole the clothes before you even died. This kind of show you're gonna die. Like you said,
Okay.
they don't actually kill you usually. They're more
Harbingers.
harbingers. There's different ways that banshees can be formed or made. You can become a banshee. When I've read in Irish, have you guys Irish funerals? If you guys are familiar with the word keeners.
No, but I'm just guessing that's criers.
Yes. Yeah, to be a keener, uh, if let's just say a family member dies and you wish to show that he was really important, a family might hire a keener or a group of keeners, and they actually come to the funeral and they put on a large or a big display of wailing and crying and kind of storytelling, singing, type of mix. It's really different. And they say that the keeners that get hired for the families, usually the same keener gets hired every time a family member dies. So eventually, when the keener dies, the family hires another keener for them as well. But if the keener does a bad job or doesn't or refuses to come to a service or along that line, the keener has a likelihood of turning into a banshee and has to stick around, and they usually stay with that family. And they say that the banshee is there's one banshee per household in Ireland.
Is there a reason as to why there's only allowed to be one? Like I can't hang out with other banshee buddies?
I mean, there could be more than
If
one.
you get married into a family, do you lose your banshee and gain theirs, or do you like double like just questions? Lots of
Like which
questions.
one becomes your banshee at that
It's
point?
like Mushu with his guardianship, but banshees.
Saying one was a bad word, but yeah, every family has a banshee, unless they get replaced by
So
newer banshees.
so they think that every family has at least one, not that every family can only have one.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, at
So they
least
think
one.
that banshees are fairly common.
And they say from some of the notes and things I've seen from other podcasts and such that they say that the most common families that almost definitely have banshees is the Irish families that their names start with Mac, like the McDonald's, Max. I don't know the other Max, and
Just
the
straight to McDonald's.
yeah, and the in the O's, O'Connor, O'Donald.
O'Reilly.
Oh,
O'Reilly's. We're not sponsored.
It'd
not sponsored.
be nice though.
I don't know that O'Reilly's would want to sponsor a podcast about nerd stuff, but never know.
Advertising is advertising.
Yeah, or the O's. Those are the ones. Those are the families that definitely have some. There is one instance that I seen that the banshee. It wasn't one banshee per family. There was a couple banshees, but the banshees sent observers to watch each family member. They each watch each family member. And then when they'd see that the one family member was going to die, they'd report back to the banshee. Then the banshee would appear. Yeah. Then the tradition of keening kind of died out because of the Catholic Church not really allowing it, because that was more of a pagan, uh, Gaelic, 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 Gaelic.
Gaelic pagan tradition.
Yes, and the Catholic Church does not like that, so they kind of forced that tradition out back in the 1950s. But it started to make a comeback, from what I've heard. Then it just the Banshees kind of just evolved into more of a spirit type ghost nowadays, but still kind of being fairy in the Irish sense. Is there some more of the media kind of portray the banshee as a ghost spirit because of how it looks and such? I think does Phasmophobia have a banshee?
They do, I think. If I'm not mistaken.
Google.
They have added one. I believe they added it with one of the updates.
There are certain ways to kill banshees as well. Old age is not one of them. Usually it's gold. Yeah, a gold knife to the heart, or or salt.
Golden with gold.
Yeah, well, a gold knife.
Very specific.
Yep, I just Googled it. The banshee is one of the 21 types of ghosts in Phasmophobia, but they don't usually actually kill anybody. There has been cases of banshees killing people, though. And that is if you touch their comb. Not want to pick up a comb, a silver comb usually. On the if you just find a comb, don't pick it up. It could be a banshee's. Otherwise, they will track you down and they will kill you.
I mean, I wouldn't want people touching my stuff either.
There's this one story. This dude was out partying and he seen a banshee washing laundry along the side of the road by a stream. He didn't know. Pretty sure he didn't know it was a banshee. But he picked up this potted plant, and chucked it at the banshee. Before the pot hit the back of the banshee's head, it just disappeared. And he went back and told the people at this party what he did. That he scared off a banshee or threw this pot at the banshee and disappeared on him. Well, later that night or the next morning, he was found with the same exact flower pot smashed into the back of his head. Question for you, ladies. How tall do you think the banshee is?
I've heard that they're very small, like average height, I guess.
Do you have any guesses, Chaotic?
I mean, I feel like I always guess wrong. So, like,
Deal with it.
not really. I don't know, like standard. Standard.
Okay, from what I've seen, the banshees, they're between 1 and 3 feet tall.
That's not as scary to me.
It's terrifying. Have you seen you?
Listen,
You're 4
Yeah.
feet tall.
I'm 5 feet for the record.
I'm sorry, you're 4 feet tall. I didn't stutter. And
I am 60
and
inches.
you're-
For everyone.
you're
Record, that's 5 feet.
terrifying. So can you imagine a bunch of little, tinier yous running around hissing and screaming?
Seeing my future
Blood
children.
out their mouth? Could you imagine? Could you imagine a little 2-foot gremlin just walking up to you and screeching to high heavens and it's just got blood dribbling out of its mouth? No, thank you.
Some of the newer ones and such from the newer age, they've changed very in size, the standard. But the old ones, usually, because of the fairy aspect. Banshee is actually named Banshee, which comes from Old Irish bin's side, meaning fairy woman, woman of the fairyland. And media, like we talked a little about before, but I got 2 media things that most people usually know about. Harry Potter. In the 3rd Harry Potter book, in the book when they were talking about, or movie, I think is in the movie, but when they were talking about the boggart in the closet, Simus Finnegan's boggart turned into a banshee. Simus Finnegan is Irish. That's something that J.K. Rowling thought of.
I was gonna say it's pretty hard to not address the Finnegan name and no.
And the second one was Supernatural. In the 11th season, had a Banshee episode called Into the Mystic.
Yep.
She was looking for revenge after a killing of an Irish family.
It's probably her family.
Mhm.
She's like, I was assigning these people and you murdered them, so here we go.
I didn't actually see anywhere what happens if a Banshee's family runs out of lineage. Does the Banshee just disappear, or does she move on to a different family?
I mean, there's got to be like 5th and 6th cousins twice removed or something like that.
You said you had a media songbird about...
I did. Teen Wolf has one of their main characters is a Banshee, and they have pretty much stick true to the lore too, saying that they're the harbingers of death, and that they unconsciously scream to announce when someone has died. And it's usually killed by supernatural forces. But it says these women predict death through premonitions, which could be auditory, visual, or both. And depending on their level of power, when it happens, they can basically see the death and everything. And some people can like see it as if they're stepping into the person's body, or just like viewing it like a TV show. And they're also known to protect themselves with their powers, using it almost as like a kinetic force of power to knock someone away from them or even crush human skulls. So, it's a little more pro-woman form of the Banshee where they're not old crones who are 2 foot with blood in their mouths.
Yeah, that was a really good show. I liked the modern take on Banshees.
Guess it's time to move on to the Mayhem. We already talked about a little bit in the modern day world with the newer kind of aspects of it, but if a Banshees were to start appearing in the world, following families with Irish bloodlines, and not be able to disappear, do you think that would cause a lot of mayhem?
Well, I feel like it kind of depends on which version of you're getting. If I'm getting the Teen Wolf version of it, I'm going to be happy. The 2 foot blood dripping, screaming toddler version of it probably would get annoying very quickly.
I don't know. I can't say that I wouldn't be fascinated either way, as Banshees are one of the few that actually interest me. But I definitely think, like Songbird said, it'd be a different story. If we had a bunch of Lydia's from Teen Wolf running around, it probably wouldn't be as big a deal to, like involve military like we've talked about, but if we were talking about the harbingers of death, like the ones that are going to bring the death upon me type thing from the Irish folklores, I'm good. I don't need none of that.
They never really bring the death to you. They're just warning you that it's coming.
But they technically bring it to you. It's just like it's just like, what am I trying to compare it to right now? The Reaper. When you see, there's like a big myth with the Reaper. If you see the Reaper, then you know your death is coming. So they are technically bringing it to you. They're like, hey, I'm here. Everybody gonna get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a way.
Well, I just gotta say, as far as Irish mythology goes, theirs are very scary in general. I'm just glad it's a Banshee versus something else. I think I just feel like it could be worse.
Yeah.
I feel like Banshees would be manageable in a sense.
Yeah.
Like we have soundproof rooms and stuff still. Like I just feel like they'd be more manageable of creatures we've spoken about.
I think it'd be a little more sad versus anything. Like you see when you're like, oh great, who's it gonna be?
I think they're kind of comparable to the doppelgangers like we talked about a little bit, except they don't mimic your image. They just they don't tell you who's gonna die. They just give you a hint that someone in your family is going to die.
They just bring the upsetty spaghetti vibes to the party.
Yeah. Like, hey, prepare for death. Someone's going to die.
Just real quick, can you imagine if there was like Team Rocket and they had like a mantra, prepare for death, or there's something weird like that every time they popped in before they announce your death, like, hey, here's the spiel, death.
Well, kind of their wail is kind of like that. From what I heard, the wail is not human-like. I've heard it being compared to owls screeching or the hooded crow they've been related to sound-wise.
I don't know about that.
Or cats mating.
Yeah, that's pretty annoying.
I think they would sob too if they're not wailing. They'd be sobbing, which would be kind of you'd have the problem with the sobbing, not really the wailing.
Yes, because Chaotic knows this. If you've ever played Left 4 Dead and you have those sobbing nurse creature witches, I would have to step out of the party and not RSVP. Feel free to Google it. It's terrifying.
It is very terrifying.
Yeah, but if they're just all around constantly, I think they would cause a lot of mayhem just by driving people insane, not knowing when or how somebody's gonna perish in your family. If they could disappear, it might be a little better. You can't really call a military on them unless you arm the military with gold knives.
I mean, if the military listened to our podcast, they'd know. Otherwise, they can just ask experts to what they should equip.
Yeah, they have to switch back to bayonets. As long as you're not mean to it, it will not harm you. So it's not very naughty. It's just like don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the Banshee, or else messenger will fire
And
back.
don't throw a flower pot in.
Or steal its comb.
Yeah. I feel like it has very simple rules to live by, and I think I can manage them. I have noise canceling headphones, so.
Gonna be it for today's episode. This week's episode. Not today. We're not doing this daily. That'd be a lot of research per day.
Yeah, it would.
Okay.
I feel like I didn't have as much to input with the Mayhem side of things this time. There's just not. I feel like it would be a more controlled situation. So I just don't have anything crazy this time.
I agree. Like I said, she has very many rules that you can live by. This
seems like most of the humanoid monster spirits are very tame, kinda, compared to some of the more bestial ones. Most of them are spirits or fae.
Right, exactly.
Well, and like I said, I have seen some very creepy Celtic creatures, and this is nothing in comparison to like kelpies and like water horses and some really just nasty creatures.
Join us again next Monday for another episode of Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem, where Silver and Chaotic talk about how they came to be and how they would be received in modern-day society. Follow, like, and subscribe to support. Also find us on Twitter and Discord with the links below to keep up to date with the newest merch and activity. Besides, who knows what mayhem we will get into next time. Imagine not even being ready for your intro.
English, like I said in Minipoc in the other episodes, I am not good. Even though it's my only language I speak.
English is hard, okay?
Yes.
I fucking got it. Hang on.
Don't hate yourself to your own paper.
Join us again next Monday for another episode of Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem, where Silver and Chaotic talk about... Hang on.